Hi, I'm Kim Skildum-Reid from Power Sponsorship in Sydney, Australia, and today we're going to be talking about the intersection of sponsorship and emerging or improving technology. And wow, isn't there some amazing technology around? And it changes all the time. So I'm not going to be talking about really specific technologies and how to use them. I will give you a little rundown on some of my favorite ones a little bit later on, but I'm going to be talking about how to think about emerging and improving technology when it comes to sponsorship, because that's a skill set that you can apply to any emerging technology as it comes along. So here's the thing. Emerging and improving technologies offer really exciting opportunities. I mean, there are some amazing things that they can do, but they also carry risk. I mean, there is a risk with them. So the key question really isn't, can we use this tech? Because of course you can use this tech, but should we use this tech? So this video walks through some of the crucial questions that you want to ask when considering using technology for leveraging your sponsorships. Now, the first area you need to explore is it meaningful? And I'm always telling my corporate clients, meaning is sponsorship's superpower. The meaning and the passion around sponsorship, that's what you're leveraging. You're not leveraging a bunch of benefits. You're actually leveraging people's passions and what has meaning to them. So it's really critically important that this technology actually adds to that meaning. So the job of best practice sponsorship is actually to build alignment with your target markets and advocacy by your target markets. And if a technology isn't doing that, it's taking you away from your prime directive, to borrow from Star Trek. So the kind of questions you want to ask here are, how can we use this technology to add value to the fan experience, or the customer or potential customer experience, or your staff experience? Or how can we use this technology to demonstrate our brand values and attributes with our fans, customers, and staff? If you can come up with a bunch of ideas, great. If you can't come up with the ideas, you're kind of going, I got nothing, but geez, it's cool, we got to figure out a way to use it. Look, if you're coming up with no great ideas for demonstrating brand or company values, alignment, and getting advocacy, then it's probably not a great fit for that particular sponsorship. It may be great for some other sponsorship, but not for that sponsorship. So it's probably better to let it go. What you want are really natural, authentic ways to use a technology. And just because it's cool doesn't mean it's going to be effective. The next question you want to ask is it scalable? Because sponsorship is now win-win-win. That is, the sponsor wins, the rights holder wins, and the fans win. And that third one is really critical. The fans have to win. So that's small, meaningful, there you go, meaning again, small and meaningful wins for all or most of a particular target market. So here's the thing. Some tech just isn't all that scalable. I mean, as a decision maker in sponsorship, you probably get to try all this tech, and you try it and go, oh my God, this is amazing. Everybody that tries this is going to think it's amazing and all of that. But if you really think about it, how many people are going to be able to try it? How many fans will realistically use or benefit from it? So small scale experiences like, let's say, VR rigs, virtual reality rigs. You put on the gloves, you put on the helmet sort of thing, the goggles or whatever you call those things. I really should know that. And you have an amazing experience. But let's just say you have 4 of these rigs and they're all staffed and they're outside of a stadium that holds like 80,000 people. What percentage of the people at the stadium are going to actually get to do it? And the answer is not that big a percentage, actually just a drop in the bucket. And how many remote fans are going to be able to experience it? People that care, people that are going to watch it on television and all of that. And the answer to that is 0. So I would not say VR right now is particularly scalable. Now, you could say, oh, what about Oculus Rift or whatever? And it's like, yeah, there are some people that have VR rigs, but not a lot. And until everybody's got a VR rig or VR chips in their glasses, and they fix the nausea problem, it's probably not something that's scalable enough to be worthwhile doing, unless you are aiming for a very concise target market and it's available to all or most of them. The next question is, do your target markets use the tech? I mean, is it actually relevant to them? So you want to use some research to confirm that your audiences actually use the technology. Being a first mover is really tempting, but there is a risk that whatever this new tech isn't going to get traction. And we've seen some of them, which I'll go into in a second. So you want to put your main effort into tech that they already use or very closely adjacent tech. The next one is, it's related. Does it have a critical mass of uptake, or is it just a gimmick? And I gotta say, hello NFTs. That was really a gimmick. I mean, the technology behind it is really, really cool, but that was a flash in the pan. So going all in on NFTs probably wasn't a great idea around sponsorship. And then there's the metaverse. There's all sorts of people saying, oh, we've created this amazing metaverse around our sponsorship where people walk into a room and the game is playing on the television and they can click that and get the stats and they can open up the refrigerator and inside the refrigerator is our beer. And it's like, oh my God, is anybody actually going to use this thing? And the answer is no, because plenty of them were built and there's hardly any of them around anymore. So they really didn't get that traction. And, frankly, I think most people are much more interested in using their devices to add value to their real world experiences than they are to get into this like immersive Ready Player One kind of situation. And that includes digital natives. So what you want to do is to evaluate whether the technology has a real user base or is still years from maturity. And this whole metaverse thing may be huge in like 5-10 years time and really have traction. But right now, it doesn't. And there was a flash in the pan where everybody was jumping into it and it's pretty much petered out at this point. Now, my current favorite technologies, because they are scalable, really flexible, and could be a hotbed for lots of creativity. I love augmented reality and all its amazing forms. And it's getting to the point where you'll be able to tap on almost anything that you're looking at, like players or whatever, and it will give you more information and real-time stats and all that kind of stuff. It's really, really getting to be amazing. So augmented reality is an absolutely fantastic tool. I use it a lot with my clients. Hyper customization through AI is really cool. And I also really like AI-driven face mapping and deep fakes so that you can get messages from your favorite soccer player or whatever. Obviously, that needs to be with permission. There needs to be lots of guardrails and all of that kind of stuff. But that can be really, really powerful. There's, all the other amazing stuff AI can do in future. So I'm not going to go into all of those because it's just going to be, one after another new thing. But AI is going to be huge. Mobile versions of virtual reality, I actually quite like. And this is a way to scale virtual reality. And so it isn't really true virtual reality in that people will pick up their phone, put it in front of their face, and they can look around like they're inside of a locker room, for instance. It's not the full VR experience, but at least it is scalable and you can create something that can immerse people in an experience even if it isn't totally surrounding their head. Gamification is fantastic, and gamification doesn't need to be about the specific thing that you're sponsoring. And I remember, I'm going to say 10 years ago now, I think it was about 10 years ago now, I was at the Hong Kong Sevens and they had finally addressed the problem of dozens and dozens of streakers on the field during the play of the rugby sevens. So they addressed that, but it was so much part of the culture that Carlsberg Beer, who was a sponsor of the sevens there, created an app where you could virtually streak down Hong Kong Stadium. So they gamified part of the fan experience even though it really had nothing to do specifically with the game of rugby sevens. So think laterally about gamification because there's tons of ways to do it and you can do really cool little things that are a little bit more peripheral. And I also like really cool visual recognition tools that trigger interactive or AR content. And there's tons of ways to use this too. So those are my favorites right now because they're scalable and they also are great platforms for lots of creativity. So the upshot of all of this is that technology works in sponsorship when it's meaningful, scalable, and used by your markets. It should enhance your sponsorship strategy. It shouldn't be driving your sponsorship strategy. You shouldn't be saying, oh, this is a really cool technology. How can we build a sponsorship leverage program around this technology? And it's like, no, you build the sponsorship leverage program around the fan experience. And if that technology can add value, if it can be a meaningful part of that fan experience, great. So what I want you to do is to test all of your ideas against these filters before you make a commitment to emerging and improving technology. Now, I'm going to ask you to like, subscribe, and comment with which emerging tech you're considering and how you'll evaluate it using these filters. Now, if you want a deeper dive, there's a link to a related video in the video description. You can also find lots and lots of tools on my website, powersponsorship.com. And there's links to the website, some additional materials, where to find me on socials, and how to work with me also in the description below. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time.